Hey guys, Getty here. Hope you guys had an awesome Merry Christmas. Um, Hope everything was pretty good. So I am back for more drama with DC Comics. As of late, DC Comics has not been doing so well. I know I've made several videos about what's going on with AT&T and the drama with them and the cuts they've been making with DC Comics with the layoffs. Well, apparently DC Comics is going through a third wheel of um, layoffs, which isn't really good for them. Um, Especially when they're already going through two other major layoffs. So it isn't looking good for DC Comics, and it's also not looking good for the comic book industry as well. So basically, what's going on with this is that, um, just like the other two, they're just suffering through more layoffs. So, for the looks of it, if I could tell by this article, um, so from the looks of it, um, a lot of the freelancers, so the comic book writers and comic book artists, um, right now at the company, they're out of work. They're out of work, um, and this has been going on for a long time now. There's been a lot of cuts and everything, and it really sucks because at this point, DC Comics, it's at the point where they're probably definitely going to be losing a lot of people to the company because they've from the previous cuts they've lost a lot of editors, a lot of people that have been at DC for many years, that have been there since like since the early 2000s, like a lot of big ones like Jeff Johns, Jim Lee, a lot of those guys that have been there for so many years, they're gone. AT&T and DC basically fired them, and it's all because of AT&T, because AT&T really doesn't really care about DC Comics. Ever since they had the assets of WB and Warner Media and everything, um, they only got it simply for the streaming platform because they knew that they can use it, even though they don't necessarily have a background in Hollywood and in that particular business field, but because they're more selling for phones and devices and stuff, where they were just into it so that way they can go into the streaming business. But with DC, they definitely don't care about the company. They don't care about the people at the company at all, and they obviously don't care about selling comics. Um, and this is a good example of it. And this sucks because a lot of people have strived to be in the comic book industry. It does not look like DC is not going to be around much longer, and people can disagree, and that's fine. I know there's some people that find it hard to believe that the comic book industry is dying, and there's not going to be that many people that are going to be staying at DC, and quite frankly, Marvel might go through the same thing. The only difference with Marvel is that they have Disney, because Disney can easily control everything that Marvel's doing with their comic division. But knowing Disney, they'll probably, because they're already losing money too, because they've been affected by COVID as well, with their theme parks and everything, that it's a possibility they might even cut Marvel too. That their comic division is probably going to get cut, just like DC is, except the difference is they have a corporation that still latches at their brand and their property. But with DC, they're owned by a corporation like AT&T that doesn't really care about their brand, doesn't really care about their products. They're only into it so that way they can do the streaming service. But I honestly think that's just one piece of what this company is going through. I think it's also the fact that they keep selling woke comics, right? They only sell woke comics because it's the only thing they could sell. Because the people that are still there, a lot of these novelists that they've been getting, it's all just for woke comics. So that's all they're doing. Like if you look at I Am Not Starfire is basically what they're going to be selling now, and they've been doing it. Hell, they just announced they're going to be doing another one with Jessica Cruz, a character that Ethan Fitzgerald just created back when he was working for DC. He no longer works for DC, but I'm sure people that follow comics or follow on YouTube on Comicsgate probably know who Ethan Van Sciver is, and he was the original creator of Jessica Cruz. For anybody who does not know who Jessica Cruz is, she's basically a character in the run of Green Lantern that Jeff Johns wrote. And she was probably one of the most significant characters in that whole entire run, up to when Johns was done writing his run on Green Lantern. But yeah, so they're now taking a character that even Van Sciver created and made it into. They're now making it the same as how I Am Not Starfire, which is going to be a woke novel, which isn't going to be good because their main competition right now is manga, and manga's kicking their ass right now with sales. And I know people find that hard to believe, but it's the truth. If you take a look at the sales charts and you look at the numbers, because remember, numbers don't lie. So obviously there's proof that manga is literally beating the sales of a lot of comics, like with DC and Marvel and a lot of comic companies right now. So I still have faith that they're going to be the new comics. Like, manga is going to be the new comics. There's going to be a lot more people interested in anime and manga than there is going to be DC Comics and Marvel, because Marvel and DC they're at the point where nobody's not interested in superhero comics anymore, and that's really the truth. And for people that have worked in these companies, like that have worked in this industry, it also sucks for them because obviously when they did the second cut, because remember this is the third cut. When they did the second cut, this happened on Christmas. Imagine waking up on Christmas morning and you find out that you're out of a job. That's shitty as far as I'm concerned. That is got to be the most shittiest thing that you could get, especially on Christmas. Like, that's just, I don't know what to think of that. That's just, I can't imagine that could ruin, if it happened to me, that would definitely ruin my Christmas because I'd be out of a job. And I'm sure people would feel like that if their jobs were cut. I'm sure these guys were too. So it's just sad. But it just goes to show it's all based on corporation. This is what happens when they hire people that only focus on political value, that can't get outside that bubble. That's one of the reasons why they're struggling as well. But it's just a shame. It really is. And I think that's what also affects a lot of the newcomers, like a lot of people that are trying to get into the comic book industry, because the comic book industry is a hard field to get into. It's a hard field to get into when you start out, especially if you want to do comics or you want to do anything in comics, whether if it's DC, whether if it's IDW, whether if it's Marvel. They won't hire you. And I say that, I'm not trying to sound like a dick about it, but they won't hire you because they won't hire new guys because they're more focused on hiring SJW. And I don't understand it. I never understood it. And these guys, they rather hire those kind of people. And the people that are SJWs, that have that kind of mindset, they don't really care about people like superheroes. They don't care about that. They're only in it for their political agendas, and they're only there simply so that way they can reach it out to the public, so they can bring out propaganda. And that's not the way to go, because the fact is, you're selling comics. You're not selling a product that's going to reach to politicians or people that are so focused on their political values. You're not going to get that. Their main thing is they have to sell comics to people that love comics. There's a lot of people that have invested so much money into Marvel and DC for many years, long-time collectors. But the thing is, they don't care about those collectors. DC and Marvel right now, the writers that they had, like a lot of Marvel's writers, they simply do not care about their consumers, because they talk shit to their fans on Twitter, and that's what turns them away from their audience, and that's what turns away their fan base, and it harms it. I don't understand that logic. I don't understand that mindset, because It's like I've said before. If you don't have fans, you have no career. It's as simple as that. So the more that you talk shit to your fans, the more people turn away. The more people think that you're an asshole on social media, and it's the truth. Because every time I look at like Dan Slott, or if I look at Mark Wade, or I look at those guys, I think of them as just assholes. I think that it's them trying to basically go after their fans and are just out of touch. So it's just very shitty. It really is. And I think this is one of the reasons why the comic book industry is not what it used to be. Because a lot of people used to really love collecting comics. The joy and nature of collecting comics now, it's no more. It's not that anymore. And some people can disagree, and again, that's fine. But I personally think, and I've seen people even say the same thing I've been saying, that the whole demographic of superhero comics now, it's done. Like, nobody's interested. And there could be some people, like, there could be still a small crowd of people maybe going to get comics at the comic shops, but there's really not that many. It's just a small amount. And on top of it, comic shops have not been doing well either. Like, a majority of comic shops, as of this year, because of COVID, they've all went out of business. A good chunk of them went out of business. And because of the massive layoffs with DC, and because of where the comic industry is going, and because of the fact that DC kind of separated from Diamond, that's what kills their shops. That's what kills basically them being in business. So it's sad to say. So I may be rambling about this, but I'm just saying that this is one of the reasons why they're not doing so well right now as a company, because they're not whatsoever. And it seems like a lot of people that have worked for DC, like a lot of the freelancers, they're out of a job. They don't know what the hell to do. So it seems like a lot of these guys at DC, they might have to go find work, or they might have to go do things independently, which is probably their best route, because a lot of people have actually had success finding work independently. Like, look at even Ben Skyder when he did Cyberfrog. He's doing pretty good for himself. And even when, even though he's worked at DC for so many years, he has a background in how to do comics. So at least he found work elsewhere, and I think that's what everybody else should do. They should just do their own independent. That's why indie comics have done so well. That's why Image has always done so well, because they've always reached out to people who want to get their foot into the industry. And because all I'm saying is DC, Marvel, and IDW, they will not hire people who want to get into comics, especially newcomers. Like, a lot of people that are just starting to get into the field, they're not going to hire them. It's as simple as that. They're not going to hire them. If you don't have an SJW background, or you don't have any political background, these companies don't care. And that's the truth. And it's just really sad, because the whole nature of comics is just, it's done. The whole thing is just gone now. Like, the joy of collecting of comics now is just, it's gone. It's long gone. And it's been like that for a few years. And I know there's some people, I've seen people's videos where they're like, oh, well, we still like them, we still support them, we still want to see if they can still make it. Sorry to say, but they're not. Like, superhero comics are dead. They're gone. They're done. Like, I know there's some people that will want to collect them. That's fine, but just understand that if you do not like SJW books, then don't support them. Because the more you support, the more that these companies don't care. So that's all I'm saying. So I think this is just a wake-up call for DC with how they're going to do this. And obviously AT&T does not care about what happens to DC. And I've also seen Wonder Woman 1984, and I have seen the movie. I might actually make a review of it, actually, because I kind of want to talk about it. But all I'm going to say is that film is also what killed DC too, and that's also what actually killed for AT&T, because AT&T was really hoping for that film to do really well. Sad to say the movie didn't do so well, and now it's kind of, they lost so much money off that movie. I don't understand how they're gonna make Wonder Woman 3, because Wonder Woman 3 I don't think would probably work, and it's probably not gonna happen anytime soon. So I don't know how the hell they're gonna be able to do that, but whatever. Um, but yeah, they lost a lot of money off from that film. It's just AT&T right now is just a mess, and I also think that the novels, like the woke novels, like I'm Not Starfire and the one with Jessica Cruz, those are just gonna be short lived. I don't see them being that successful. I don't see them beating sales of manga. I don't see it. To me, I think that they're just lame excuses. I think that they're piss poor, and I think that it's just not gonna get a lot of people interested in those books. I think that the way I look at them, and I kind of agree with Clownfish TV on this, that this was probably just pitch ideas, and it could be pitch ideas, because I don't know how the hell people are going to be able to buy those books, especially with the kind of art that's there, and the way that it's represented. I just don't see it selling. I really don't. I really don't fucking see it selling. But but that's just me. Um, but no, it's really sad. It is really sad. And the other thing too is, like, I know I made a video about the whole that DC's going to be cutting 34. That's going to be going up, like, down to 34 comics as opposed to like 50 or 60. It's probably going to go down to 12. It wouldn't surprise me if it goes down to 12 or maybe 5, even maybe even lower. Who knows? But I'm thinking it's going to go lower because DC right now is not doing so well as a corporation. I could probably see them get sold. Who knows? But honestly, I just wanted to talk about this because I've made a couple videos about DC Comics and how they've kind of went down under. So I just wanted to talk about this. I would really like to know what you guys' thoughts on this. If you guys like the video, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Hope you guys have a good new year, and I'll see y'all later. Take care.